of any age. Today we meet those that make and star in these films and those that say they are trash at best and dangerous at worst. Somewhere in this country it's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know what type of movie your child is renting? Do you know what type of knife he's planning to use on you while you sleep? Now, I just want to tell you, moms and dads at home, that there are going to be some pictures and scenes from motion pictures, slasher films that we're going to show on this show that have never been seen before on television, and you're going to probably, some of you are going to end up puking. So you might not want to watch it, all right? Let me introduce at home base John Anastasio, who is a slasher movie critic and at Loudmouth #1, Rick Sullivan, who is the editor of Gore magazine. Rick will... We'll start with Rick, all right? As the editor of one of the leading gore magazines, or horror film fan magazines, you've been quoted as saying that the types of movies which we'll be discussing tonight are cotton candy for the mind. I find nothing really sweet about driving a knife just below a woman's navel and then ripping it up. That's sweet.
Well, it's the same kind of vicarious thrill you get from riding a roller coaster at the defunct Palisades Park. Kids...
Well, ask me how sweet this one is. I'll show you one of the more gentle ones. All right? As a matter of fact, tell me how sweet it is. Let's see one of those slasher films, all right? Little scene here. That must be it. Always say courtesy of. What the hell is courteous about that? Whoa. I mean, anything sweet in that?
Well,
Is there a message in it?
your staff did a very good job, because that is a clip from one of the most sadistic films ever made in 1972. But taking it out of context like that, I could see where it is sick and you would be horrified by it. But if you take it in the whole of its 90-minute running time, it plays as a morality play. Anything you've seen there, each one of the villains that did the slashing gets his comeuppance at the end, and most of the kids that go to see them go to see for the state-of-the-art makeup and the blood spurting and how it's done.
I don't see anybody going for state-of-the-art makeup. They go to see the blood and the gore. They pander to that garbage, and all it does is land up rotting minds and rotting hearts. And it's exposed to kids that are very, very impressionable. There's enough violence on TV. When we get ultra-graphic violence, then we really start working on these kids. What type of example are you setting for them?
Impressionable children weren't allowed to see that film. It was rated R, which requires anyone under 17 to be accompanied by a parent.
They get it.
Well, but let me ask you. Rick, let me ask you. Realistically, can a kid go into a video store and get that thing?
Yes, he can, which is where your guest and I are on the same side, for that. I advocate imposing the same rating system as presently used by the MPAA towards videos that you rent in the store.
Stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, he's agreeing with you on that. So kids aren't going to see that in the... Oh, there's an attractive guy.
I mean, don't you agree? Don't you agree with me that anyone 17 years of age is channel something like that and you can enjoy it for what it is?
Enjoy it for what it is. Garbage like that is only going to affect people of all ages. It's the most damage is done on the young.
Rick, you've said that realistically that these are morality plays where good triumphs over evil.
Right.
But don't you have to wait a long time before you see evil get its just desserts?
But evil's going to get its butt kicked in the last reel. And the reason kids like these things is because of people like you that love to criticize them and take them off the market. It's like rock and roll. Kids love what their parents hate.
I mean, here's one of Rick's mailing magazines here, all right? It's a beautiful young girl with a being slashed in the throat here. Very lovely. I folded this part up because her breasts are exposed. And Rick, I've pushed this a long way now for you, the magazine. I
hope so.
like to be in this next movie.
Mort, that's just part of the problem, though, there. It's not simply the violence, it's the sex that's used there. It's the degrading
Well, that's
of women.
not sex showing a woman's breasts.
No, but we're talking about in these movies. They're always
But this guy
scantily
is
clad.
strangling her throat, all right? He's not touching her breasts, so there's nothing
Right.
sexual about that.
The breasts
Nothing
are not...
sexual about that, where they're exposed in that fashion.
Well, I mean, you walk down the street, you see through a girl's blouse, the wind's blowing in close, you see... it's the same thing.
I guess you do see
Same
those
thing.
things.
Huh?
I guess you do see those things. Looking for them as you
I
do.
don't look below the waist of a man, if that's what you mean. Do you like movies like Cannibal Holocaust, Splatter Girls, and Barn of the Naked Dead? I mean, you think these should be tools that are used to teach kids about right and wrong? Seriously, John, back on the serious side now.
Right and wrong. Use the Star Wars trilogy. That's a beautiful case of good over evil. You don't see any gratuitous graphic violence. All the older movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, you didn't see all of that. Good versus evil always triumphed in those cases. You don't need it. It's unnecessary and
Well,
it's
now
damaging.
really, now let's go back and look at Frankenstein. Did good triumph over evil? Because what they did was Frankenstein was portrayed as evil because of the things he did, and yet you felt sorry for Frankenstein at the end of that movie. It's not true. Good did not prevail over evil. Frankenstein was evil. We pretended him to be an abused, used person, so therefore we had a pity for him.
But he's still
folks
killed.
die. These folks die. Let's get on to the next segment of the show, all right? I want you to meet some folks who are actually in these motion pictures and find out if horror movies are really porno movies in disguise. Stay with us.
I'm Jim Martindale, and I'd like to tell you about the garden weasel. This 5-in-1 tool makes gardening fun and easy.
All right. Let me introduce at home base one of the superstars of horror films. His name is Michael Berryman. He's also the host of Gorgon Video Magazine. And I'll start, and of course, Paige Mellish is with us. She's one of the leaders of feminists fighting pornography. So let's see if we can tie these two things together. You're one of the most popular actors in this genre of film today, Michael. One film that helped you reach these lofty heights, all right, is The Hills Have Eyes. Let's take a look at a clip from this slasher classic, please. Paige, how does it, seriously, how does it make you feel when you watch that lunatic stick the gun in a woman's mouth, and what is your opinion of how women are portrayed in all these films?
Well, it's not how it makes me feel that's a concern, because women aren't the ones that are going around and raping and beating and murdering women. Men are. But it's what happens to men from watching these films. And two studies have been done. One was done at the University of UCLA by Dr.
Now, get me all the, I don't care about the doctor, get me the UCLA, get me the results of the study.
Okay, this study found that from watching R-rated slasher films, men had an increased aggression and acting out of violence against women. They issued higher noise levels towards the women.
Was this study done by a woman, Paige?
Another study study that was done was by Dr. Donnerstein, University of Wisconsin, in which hardcore pornography, X-rated films were shown to one group and R-rated slasher films were shown to another. Both groups exhibited the same attitudinal changes, an increased activity of violence against women in issuing electric shocks to women participants in the group, callousness towards rape victims.
Okay, all right, Michael, you say that women aren't degraded in the films that you star in. How can you say shoving a gun down a woman's throat isn't a violent kind of sexual imagery thing?
This particular clip from The Hills Have Eyes, and I understand Wes Craven's his inner workings, and he's a psych major in school, and sure, that's you know, we can get the implication of that, sure. Okay, anybody that takes a, you know, if you sit at home and you watch nothing but pornography and you watch nothing but the
steady diet.
The steady diet. You're not balanced. You're not balanced. What I do, and the type of films that I do. People go to horror movies to be scared. You go to a drive-in with your girlfriend. You hope she jumps in your lap and grabs you because you know dare you to look. That's the type of films I'm talking about. That's the type of films that I do.
Paige, you spend most of your time on fighting pornography, all right? And there's very little, if any, nudity in any of these films. Do you see elements of pornography in them then?
Yeah, the violence is sexualized. And let's remember what Ted Bundy said right before he was killed. He said that it was the combination...
Ted Bundy was killed?
What Ted Bundy said was that it was the combination of sex and violence. This is sexualized violence.
Yeah,
showing
but Ted Bundy was a liar.
One psychotic.
Paige, everyone knows that Ted Bundy was a liar. The lie has been
Well, I'd like to respond to what he said.
Right,
a steady diet.
Not through Ted Bundy, who's a piece of slime with worms running over him.
He was sick before he ever saw these movies.
I have never seen pornography that made a guy 2 months after he killed a woman go back, dig her up, and have sex with her again.
Well,
that's what Ted Bundy did.
But those elements, but that's common theme in pornography. And what he said about a steady diet, the Malamith and Donnerstein studies showed a desensitization process and the attitudinal changes almost immediately upon the viewing of sexualized violence in R-rated slasher films. So your theory of a steady diet was disproven by those scientific studies.
Well, let me ask you, Rick, do you feel that horror and slasher films are pornographic?
Absolutely not.
Do you feel that your magazine is pornographic?
No, it's not.
There's a direct link to your magazine.
How come you got the naked girl on the front? It's for 14-year-olds. Wait a second. It's for 14-year-olds. 14 and up can read it, right?
No, it has to be purchased by 17. Anyone under 17 has to have their parent in the store in various places in New York.
Oh, well, give me some of the results in there.
Well, what you're looking for the type of people, the standards...
And read every bit of that.
Says, the only standards necessary for indoctrination into GG, Gore Galore...
Gore Gazzette.
Gore Gazzette, sorry, legion of heathens has nothing to do with race, creed, or color. 1, you have to have a heartfelt affinity for graphic bloodletting, seamy nudity, and the sleaziest of solenoid fare. 2, admittedly, you must be left of center. 3, you must be able to drink a case of Pabst without even thinking about having to take a whiz. And 4, you have to have a you-know-what that fits your hand like a glove. Now, you tell me you're not linking... It's right in here. You tell me, and it's not in those words, and you tell me that you're not linking sex and violence together.
Have you ever gone to a frat party, sir, and had a few beers and talked?
Yeah, but no one ever stuck their weenie in my hand.
What? We're not talking about sticking weenies in each other's hands. We're talking about
It says right here, you must have a that fits your hand like a glove.
Just to show you the basic tenets that bond all us beer drinking gore hounds.
Oh yeah, we all sit around with our unit hanging out.
Maybe in the privacy of our own home, and you're taking it out of context. It's a very long editorial, and it's a quote from a record by a band that you also hate, probably called the Meat Men. If you read the whole editorial, you'll say Meat Men. You'll see you're taking me out of context, which you can do with any one of these movies. Sit and watch the whole damn thing, and then you tell me it's bad for you.
To have a part of it rotten doesn't, and the rest of it possibly acceptable, doesn't redeem the rotten parts.
There's a lot of rotten parts on a lot of your very popular TV shows. You know,
Easy, easy,
Dynasty.
Michael.
Easy.
Especially
I'm the
talk
only
shows.
monster here.
I mean, you could take any of that out of context and have me locked up tonight, but if you want to sit and filibuster and read a whole Gore Gazette, I'm sure the people would be on my side.
No one's suggesting you be locked up. It's just that it's garbage.
Fine.
Well, but if he's selling it, wait a second. If he's selling this to 17 plus, what the hell? They're adults. They can make up their own minds. They don't need us to be their censors. They don't need us to be their censors.
But
I mean,
a
hell, we
lot
already
of
got
the
the
crimes
government.
against women are committed by adult males. The studies that I cited were adult
Please
males
explain
over
that.
17
Please
years
explain
old.
that to the young lady who's lying in a coma from Central Park. They were all teenage males.
True, and we do know that pornography and certainly the R-rated slasher-type films, that the largest consumers are adolescent males. But males can be processed to commit violence against women at any stage or age of maturity. 30% of the males in the Malamud study had a sexual response to sexualized violence.
What is the effect of...
Man, I have a sexual response to a rough ride in a subway car. Next, when you leave the room, let me ask you something. Does your kid change the channel from Sesame Street to some movie like I ripped off her armpit and sucked out the hair?
Sure.
All right. Now let me introduce you to a gentleman from Springfield, Missouri. You say, what the hell has the Show Me State got to do here on the Morton Downey Jr. Show? They're going to show you a way that maybe we can get some of this under control in a way that at least the younger kids are protected. Representative Doug Harpool. Doug, you're the chief sponsor of a bill that for the most, I guess for the very first time, anywhere would put excessively violent video cassettes off limits to minors. What's prompted you to take on that issue?
Well, I heard from my constituents complaints from parents who had no idea of that the restrictions that exist in motion picture theaters don't apply to video rentals. They came home and a little early from work one day and found their 12-year-old boy and his 10 friends watching slasher movies and found out that they'd gone down to the local grocery store every day for 2 or 3 weeks and have been watching slashers every day.
Okay. Tony,
What's wrong with that?
Where's Tony Timpone, editor of Fangoria magazine? Let me see a copy of Fangoria. This is Fangoria magazine. Really? I don't know if you can get a shot of this. Can you get a shot of this? Give me this camera. A shot of that. Tip it that way. You see it? Really exciting. Colorful. Graphic. Kind of a makeup artist's dream, I guess, this book would be. This is one of the popular magazines. Do you think we need restrictions and regulations on these type of films?
No, I don't. I think
Why?
that you're putting the government, I don't think the government has to step into your local video store.
Well,
It's up
government doesn't stand in on the movies either. Those are self-regulated. Our films.
Yeah, they are, but if the
You
government,
guys can't regulate yourselves?
I think the video stores can regulate themselves. And
Well, why
I
don't
think
They don't
You guys
regulate
are-
themselves any
Why
more
don't
than
you
they do the
guys-
magazines.
Why
Mark.
don't you guys, video stores regulate themselves? Come on. Have you ever walked down 42nd Street, baby? You can find guys inside masturbating, taking drugs, watching 25-cent peep shows. That's not self-regulation.
but with these
The
people,
regulation starts with the people who make the films.
no, I don't think they have to regulate themselves. It's up to the individual to
Don't
decide.
have to regulate.
No, they don't. If someone wants to see a horror film, they're allowed to. They should be allowed to see a horror film.
you have no
If someone
self-control.
doesn't want to see the movie, they don't have to. Just
You
like
think
if they don't
people,
want to watch
you
the show,
think
they shut it
people who
off.
maybe don't have fully developed cognitive reasoning, such as maybe a 12 or 13-year-old, should be allowed to just arbitrarily go in and see any slasher film he wants?
No, it's up to the parent to decide, not the government, not a ratings group. It's up to the parent.
But how can
to
the parent decide when the parent doesn't know what the hell the film is?
Well, they should know. They should know. They should take an interest
take
in
all
their
my
kids.
time. I should therefore go to
That's
every
right.
ice cream parlor, every grave site, every damn bookstore, every video shop, every shopping mall, and every store in the mall, because if you're a parent, pal, you know that's where the kids go on weekends. Go to the shopping center, baby. And out to the mall they go. Come on,
The
you're being a
government shouldn't
total...
be. The government shouldn't be a parent.
No, I have never once mentioned the government being a parent. I mentioned that the industry itself should regulate itself.
Well, Mort, you know, the industry is going to be regulating itself because right now Senator McConnell of the United States Senate is introducing legislation that if a victim can show a causal link between harm done to them, like rapes or beatings, and pornography consumed by the perpetrator,
page, you take me through the world, and I never
that they would be able to sue the producer or distributor of that particular piece of pornography.
Unfortunately, Clarence Darrow is dead, Paige.
In the perpetrator's house.
Mort, we don't need another law.
This is federal
We
Congress.
don't need another law. We
The
need an
Supreme Court
industry to
hasn't ruled
regulate.
over federal Congress except
if someone
twice
doesn't
in
want to
history.
see a bloody spot of film, they don't have to see it. You know,
You'll be held liable, and that'll be self-regulation.
Well, won't happen. Supreme Court,
because
Supreme
you'll
Court
be
will never
sued.
hold it.
Horror films just mirror society. It's a violent
But
world
why-
we live in. You
But
know?
Well, it's
that mirrors
cyclic.
society? You know anyone who looks like Freddie? Huh?
It's cyclic. The
There's
studies
nothing
show that
scarier.
it's
There's
a
nothing
causal.
scarier than the evening news. That's what's scary. The evening news is what's scary.
Representative, let me hear from you, sir, because I think this guy, here's why the government has to stand in, and I hate the government getting involved. They're always a bunch of you-know-whats, all right? But here you go, a guy has to step in because you say the industry shouldn't regulate itself. What's your bill
Well,
gonna
first
cost?
of all, the kids have done that. Government's regulated what kids can and cannot see in virtually every other area, from magazines to pornography to obscenity. We've done that. But VCR rentals have always been avoided. That's why my bill steps forward and takes this before
But motion pictures have regulated themselves since 1968, and I feel that should just step over into the video
That's
market
right.
without
But
you people getting involved.
Absolutely,
regard
that's
to
what I'm
children.
trying to convince Bubble Brain of.
I'll talk to him after the show.
But with regard to children, there are other laws which would apply someone who voluntarily produced a movie or allowed children and gave it to them like you do at a rental. The problem is that parents don't know what's there. We have the latchkey problem with parents coming, not being at home until their
Parents should
kids
take
are
an
there.
interest in their kids. They don't need some other group to step in and tell them what's on the box.
can't
wait,
you?
we don't
What's
tell
the
them
matter with
parents
you? Why
cannot.
can't you understand that we're not saying the government should do this?
No, I know that.
You folks should do it.
The problem
Don't you
isn't
think so?
just kids.
I don't
Women
think
are
so.
You
being
don't think
raped
so.
and beaten by adult males.
Let
Adult males.
the kids enjoy this stuff. Let them watch it.
John, let me ask you a question. If you came home one night and you're John, hey, come on, Plumber, get up there now. John, if you came home one night and your 9-year-old daughter or something had rented I Spit on Your Grave from the corner video store, what would you do?
Have to have a very long talk with her.
Yeah, you got to sit down and watch the movie with and have some
No,
popcorn.
Mort, the question
Oh,
is,
that's lovely. Just what I want to reinforce, Mort.
Didn't the child psychoanalyze you and tell you, Daddy, you shouldn't be so paranoid?
How many of these movies have you sat through from beginning to end?
They know it's all make-believe.
How many of these movies have you actually watched all 5 or 6 reels of?
From beginning to end?
Yes.
None of them. Not all the way through. You don't have to see the whole thing
Your
to see
attention
garbage.
span doesn't go beyond the 25-cent porno loops?
the problem is you're just focusing on children. It's not just children that are raping and beating women. It's adult males. The problem of adult male consumption has to
I
be
worry
addressed.
anytime the government steps in to regulate anything.
The
who's gonna
government
be
has already
deciding-
stepped in. The
Who's going to be
obscenity laws are on the
deciding
books.
which ones are off limits?
Right, what we've done is adopt the same definition that the Supreme Court has adopted for what is obscene and what's not obscene. It's a three-pronged test, and the same court system that decides what is and is not obscene would decide what is and is not excessively violent. And again, we're only talking about those under 17, and contrary to say that my bill would make government intervene and take over the job of parenting, my bill would allow parents to begin to have some control, because under the bill, children and young people can see slashers, but only if they're rented by an adult. To that
That's
extent,
not
the parent
necessarily
would have
true.
the opportunity.
Again,
to regulate.
everybody,
Watch
including
them
you,
with their
Mort, is
kids.
saying the parents shouldn't be responsible for what the kids are watching, and they can't babysit them all the time. Well, maybe we do have to place more responsibility on the parents and see what the hell is going on
How
with
the
their
hell do you
kids.
place more responsibility on two parents who are working 8, 12 hours a day?
Yeah.
Well,
Kid
you've
has
got to
go-
find a way, or maybe you shouldn't
And you
have
know-
the kids.
And you know what caused it, John? What caused it was an economic condition where both parents had to go out of work. And what caused that? It was caused by a government that allowed indexing, allowed interest rates to build up. It was caused by governments that wanted to give themselves more money and wanted to take more away from the people. So how the hell can we turn to the government?
You're going to have to make a decision whether the economics are more important to you than how your children turn out.
You're missing the mark. It's not children. Ted Bundy was not a child.
When he
Come off it with
Let me tell you,
Ted Bundy. Are you
the
in love with
first
him or
ever
something?
slasher musical. I bet you think it's called Singing in the Rain. It's called Puking in Your Brain. Come on, watch it. We've got a new guest with us at Loudmouth number 2. Let me introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Dave Juskow, the director of that fashionable film Splatter Girls.
Yeah.
Mr. Juskow, you're a producer and director of slasher films. We've been hearing about the artistic and, I suppose, entertainment values of these movies. Let's take a look for just a second at your Academy Award nominee, Splatter Girls. May we see that for the folks at home?
Get off!
Why must my thirst for blood come all the time? Even when I throw a party for friends of mine. But it be some sort of cheap vintage wine. Or maybe I like eating guts. Look, Chauncey, dinner for 3. Well, she certainly got guts, doesn't she? Could you die? Oh, you can say that again. Why must my thirst for blood come all the time? Even when I throw...
We all knew the art would grow to a musical. I suppose you expected to see Gene Kelly in that when you missed it. We all like to be entertained, Juskow, but you say the grosser the movie is, the better. What the hell was so entertaining about that?
It was fun. It was fun to watch. You know, come on.
See, making a joke out of violence against women lessens the seriousness of it. It makes it more acceptable.
It's all good fun.
Let me ask this lady. Let me go back here into the audience. Your kid brought that home. What would you do?
I'd throw it in the garbage can.
Throw up.
Throw it in the garbage can. It's
What did
absolutely
you find?
disgusting.
What did you find so non-redeeming about it?
Violence. I mean, it's who has thirst for blood?
And here's the guy.
What normal people
Here's
have
the guy who
thirst for
thinks
blood?
it's fun to cut out the guts, sing a song, cut out the guts, then cut the intestines in half, and then squeeze the juice in his mouth.
Children try to emulate
me, I'm
what they
sorry.
see
Is
on
everyone all
TV.
right?
What about cartoons?
Not just
Children
children.
emulate. They definitely emulate what
Look
they
how violent cartoons are. That was what you're watching now was a cartoon. What's
Yeah,
so
but
dangerous
Mort,
about
1 in
that?
2 women in this
Roadrunner
country are
violence
being
is more
beaten,
serious.
and 1 in 3 are being raped, and it's not by
We've heard
children.
enough about that already.
Wait. What is this here?
A little baby hanging by his tongue.
Why is the baby hanging by his toe?
Well, why not?
Is it dead?
Yeah.
The baby's dead.
Yeah, well, you know, it's supposed to be just a little baby. Come on, you know,
Let me hear him.
we grew up on these kind of movies, like The Hills Have Eyes, you know, I mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we
I mean,
grew
this
up
is
to be rapists on these kind
Oh,
of movies.
come on, if you think that that's going to start some rape,
It's a turn-off to
you're out of your
rape.
mind.
It's not what I think. It's what a government...
I can sit around at home and play Barry Manilow albums all day backwards and then knife up my kitchen table or something, but you know, I'm not going to
But
do that. I
men
got a
aren't
little
doing
more.
that. 1 in 2 women in this country are being beaten. It's not by children.
If
keep
you think
focusing on
anybody
What
children.
about the kids in Central Park? They beat that woman. They were kids.
Okay, that was kids.
What
but
about the
majority
kids?
of
What
violence
about the
against
kids
women
in New
is being
Jersey who
perpetrated
shoved
by
a baseball
adult
bat
males.
up the little girl?
And adult
They were
males are
kids.
influenced by pornography.
People that committed crime should be thrown their ass in jail. People that, You know, child abusers should have their butts
And
thrown
the
in
people
jail.
who teach
Drug
them
dealers
and
down your
incite
local
them to
street
be
once
that way,
had
the
those crack dealers
pornographers
arrested and
should
thrown
be in
in
jail too.
Instead of busting these people
Let me
after me.
go to the representative. John, Michael, let me go to the representative. Representative Harpool, in this yet released classic, which of course I'm sure would rival Indiana Jones if it was out today. Would it fall under the guidelines of your anti-slasher legislation?
I've not seen all of it. I think it would probably apply to the VCR rentals would be prohibited to people under 17. Yeah, I think it would fit that definition.
John, answer.
What do you people prefer? Your kids shooting, smoking crack on the corner, or watching some horror movies at home where you could watch them? You know, isn't that?
As a parent, I want the right to help make that decision. And if he goes down to the local grocery store and rents it, I don't have that impact. I think there are messages that a parent should have a right to try to control their young person, especially when they're 12 and 13. And all this bill does is say that we should have that type of regulation. If you're older and you want to go out and watch that kind of movie, that's fine with me. But I think that we shouldn't let messages to young people in this nation go through there without any parental control. Now, you said earlier you wanted parental control. That's all my bill provides.
Kids should watch anything they want, especially these kind of movies, because if they're... You see these kind of movies, you see what they're doing in the movies and slashing them up. Maybe they'll think to themselves, well, I don't have to go slash people up. I've seen it already. The jury out.
Kids should watch anything they want.
Yeah, because I mean, it's
How
just a
about
curiosity.
snuff movies?
Well, snuff movies are different. That's different. I mean, that's just... Oh, snuff movies, you're really going out and killing people, and then you're putting them on film. We're not doing that, you know?
How about a movie that just depicts a snuff movie? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So if it's fake.
I'm not saying it would go
Because
out.
the kid would know it was a snuff movie, right?
Well, he wouldn't know, but it wouldn't matter.
You're damn right he wouldn't know.
But it
That's
wouldn't
why
matter,
yours
though.
is no better, man. Cutting up and singing a song.
Kids know the
Trying to cut
difference
somebody's
between...
head.
Yeah, but at least...
Wearing a dead baby. The only thing that's right about it is you got it in your left ear. You, John, have decided, because you don't like slasher movies the way they are, decided to make your own Walt Disney G-rated slasher movie. Now, what are you going to do?
Absolutely right, Mort.
Hey.
Now, wait a minute. How about that?
Wait.
Where's the extension cord, Mort?
Hey,
Come on,
get
where's
out
the
of
extension
here.
cord?
Get out of here. This is
Phantom.
yeah. Take a break. Take a break. Guys.
If you live in the tri-state area and would like to be a part of our studio audience, write to Mort Tickets, 9 Broadcast Plaza, Secaucus, New Jersey, 07096. Please include your telephone number.
You've always got, when you go to my audience, you've always got one part that agrees, one part that disagrees. We'll start with you.
Okay, I'd like to say that although I'm not against any of these slasher movies, I am a fan of them, I do believe that there should be restrictions in the video stores. However, that's where the problem lies, not in the movies themselves, so they should not be knocked. I mean, if somebody wants to watch them, this isn't a censorship country. But I'd also like to say that, according to, I'd like to address to that woman who was up before.
Paige Mellish.
Exactly, Paige. I'd like to say that to knock these movies against violence against women only is wrong, because you pointed out that most violence against women is by men, but also most violence against other men is by men. That's just because men are more
No,
aggressive
that's not
by
even
nature.
true.
Yes, that is true.
No, it isn't.
It is true. Violence against other men is created by men, and the subject of today's show is
First of all,
not
I
against
think you're
rape
full of
only,
it,
is
okay?
against the violence
How
against
dare
movies.
you say that my child that's under the age of 17 can watch whatever he wants? I'm its parent to bring it up in a good way possible. Now, I feel 17 or older, you can watch whatever you want. I watch all these movies. But I will not want my child being able... When I was 12 years old, I got into a rated-R movie with no problem with a 9-year-old friend of mine. They never asked for ID. I did not look 17. So they do not enforce their rules.
Let me tell you something. What are the scars from that? Have you suffered any psychological damage from seeing a picture at that age?
Everybody has different problems.
That's
How do
okay.
I know?
Anything can turn you.
How do I know? Violent?
And this is
And then they're going to kill you in your sleep.
But they're already sick. It's not the movie
Mort,
that's
but
making
that's...
them sick.
And antagonize
No, it's not. That's absolutely true.
I never suffered any psychological problems. How do I know the guy next to me isn't going to suffer them?
Ask
I
him.
don't know that. How do I know
Mort,
a
I
little
bet you
5-year-old
if
kid
Charlie
watching
Manson watched these kind of movies, he'd probably be a businessman today. You know? He'd get all his impression out of
Come on, man.
No, I'm serious.
Come on, be real. Be real. When someone's, look, I'm not saying this is going to affect everyone, but the one idiot that's in there who is a psychopath, and it does affect, don't say it doesn't affect him. So if you save one life.
Anything could trigger that.
But all I'm saying, don't let the government in to do your job.
Why don't you let the parents just do it? How are you going to let a 5-year-old
But how
kid...
do you let a parent
But how...
know?
I don't understand.
Wait a second. How do you let a parent... Let me stand so you get on the camera. How do you let a parent know that a film is violent, all right? If it's already marked by the
Doesn't it say on the box that it's
R.
rated R?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
On yours, does it say rated R?
Yes.
On your violence?
Yes.
A lot of films, though, will not be rated. There's no assurance that they'll be rated.
They describe it on the package, Mort, and there's usually pictures you
does
can
it
get.
See
say
somebody with their
R?
guts hanging out in the box, you know it's rated R.
Yeah,
How
well,
is
the
a
category,
5-year-old kid gonna get
you're
that?
going to see it in the category of horror films, right next to a whole bunch of others. You go, well, this is going to be a pretty gory
What
film.
are a whole bunch of others?
A bunch of other films. In the video store. They got them in sections.
Do you think a parent can really control where their children go? Your
Yeah,
children
should.
are
Yeah, they
12
should.
years
I
old.
know mine are.
When you were 12 or 13 years old and your mother said don't do something, did you do it?
No.
Come on. Come on. You didn't speak out. Come on.
Look at me now.
All right, first of all, okay, women like her are part of the problem. What they're doing here... All right,
He hasn't
right
said
now,
anything yet.
she's glamorizing, okay? Because now all these kids are going to watch this show, and they're going to say, oh, I want to see what this is all about. So now people who aren't even interested in seeing the score are going to start looking at it. Secondly, people who need these outlets, this is a release for these people.
No, it
okay?
isn't.
This is an aggressive outlet. They could see it. Definitely.
Now, a government study has found that pornography,
Yeah.
which is what this is, that sexualized violence
Everything
causes
you is
in
sex
adult
against
men
women.
the
Don't
acting
you watch
out
the
of
movie
real violence.
where the men get brutalized, where the men get chopped up?
Look at the movie Child's Play with that little kid Charlie. The movie Child's Play with that little kid Charlie. He's like 8 years old, running around killing people with a knife. Yeah. I mean, if I had a kid and he saw that movie, he might grow up.
What is your kid doing watching that movie when he's a little
But then again, you see a
kid?
9-year-old kid in New York City bringing a gun to school.
Right, that's the kind of things that we should be concentrating on,
Well,
not
it shows
wasting
the same thing
government
with the
money
movie.
on stuff like
you
this.
don't
You
see
should
little
be
9-year-old kids murdering
concentrating
people.
all
Right,
your
not
energies
wasting
on stuff
government
like
money
that.
on women, on helping women.
Come on, your turn.
Yeah, as far as the kid bringing a gun to school, where did he get the gun? Where was the parents? The kid's not going to go to the store. Oh, I want a gun.
Where did he get the
He's gonna
video,
take a gun,
right?
Have a good time.
You're asking the same
Of
question.
course they
Where's
don't have
everything
kids. Have to
coming
have
from?
kids to know bringing a gun to school is wrong.
All over your head. You can't see everything.
Why do I have to have a kid to know bringing a gun to school is wrong?
Because you don't know what kid's doing or
How can I not know what he's doing?
Because you're
If
going
I
to be
was
working,
someone's
making
parent, I
money,
would know
right?
my kid was going to bring a
What are
gun.
you gonna do?
You're telling me, sir,
How could you not see?
sir,
How could you not see?
How about the other kids, you know?
sir,
What do you mean? Every parent is responsible for his own kid.
Come on.
sir.
Nah, a lot of good parents don't know what their kids are doing
I'm not
because
raising parents.
you
I'm
can't
saying
be
that
with
kids
them.
that young, they
You
should
can't
know.
be with them 24 hours a day, man. It's impossible.
The parents that don't know how to be parents that are against these kind of movies. That's what it is.
No, I
No,
think it's parents who
no,
want.
no.
It's parents who want some help.
If you
Parents
grow
who
up,
want some help from responsible people like you should be, that simply say this is an R-rated film. That's all we're asking for. Regulate yourself. Don't let the government do it. Go ahead, pal. Your turn.
Hey, listen, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
that's easy for you to say.
Right?
What
I
about
agree that
children?
she put the ratings on
What
it.
about
But again, I'm
children?
going to say,
Huh?
they
What
were
about children?
They were
You're
mentally
talking to
ill
me now,
before they
okay?
saw the movie.
No,
It is
no,
not
they
the
weren't.
movie that's making
They were
them
brought
crazy.
up believing in Never Never Land. You're saying that they can't grow up to believe to kill because of the guy on the television there, sitting there eating guts.
Not if somebody
If
else
you
sits
believe
down
in
with
Never
them and
Never Land
explains
at that
to them
age, you
that
will
this
believe
isn't
in that,
real.
okay?
They have to sit down and explain that it isn't
Who
real.
is telling them this if I do not want them to watch it from the beginning? Am I
You
correct?
knew these kind of movies were going to happen.
Some kind
You
of
knew these
control
kind
on
of
them.
movies were going to happen as soon as they had, the Roadrunner dropping 3,000-ton blocks on Wile E. Coyote. making them like an accordion.
But how
and
many
snap
kids
right
are
through.
going to be up on a mountain dropping it? Am I correct?
What?
But there are
What
kids
difference
that
if it's just
can
one?
get to knives and
What
forks.
happens if it's just one?
All right?
But
Am
they
I right
make
or
these
wrong?
movies because we go and see them. They
And we
wouldn't
love
make them
them.
if
You're
people
saying
aren't
we.
gonna
You love
see
them?
them.
You're saying
Everybody.
we.
Everybody that goes to those movies.
Well, I suppose so.
You're saying we.
I suppose so. I'll tell you what, we'll be back with the audience in just a second. Stay with us.
Hey, gang, you mad as hell, huh? Well, let the rest of the world hear about it on my TV show. Send me a 1/2-inch VHS cassette no longer than 90 seconds. If I think you got a gripe, on the tube it goes. And if you get yours on, some great gifts. Come on, pal. Now ain't the time to zip it. Here's the address.
To order a transcript, send $3 to TV Transcripts, Morton Downey Jr. Show, Box 1649, Alpine, California, or call 1-619-788-MORT.
Yeah? What the hell was that? For slasher films, against slasher films. Why?
As far as that, I just have one thing to say. As far as that so-called woman is, I think a rapist is gonna rape you whether these movies are on or whether they're not.
Yeah. What about cartoons? People get killed in cartoons. Bugs Bunny's forever getting killed. So is
They're
Bob Marley
forever
and
getting
everybody else.
smashed.
Now, this gentleman's not. Right.
But still, it's violent.
I think one of the biggest problems that a lot of people don't realize is that when you were a little kid, you're talking about 12 and 13-year-olds. When you watch anything on TV, whether it was Mickey Mantle swinging a bat, Magic Johnson dunking the ball, whatever the case may be, you emulate that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do what you're going to do, but these kids should not be allowed to see what they're going to see at that age because they will emulate it. And that's the problem with a lot of other things.
Kids are embarrassed.
The people, not you. It's all right, they already know you're making money out of it. I want to hear the people.
Teach your kid a sense of reality. Then they can watch things without having to go out and kill people.
You should teach them a sense of reality.
Teach them a sense of reality, let them walk. And teach your kid a sense of reality. Let them walk on 42nd Street for 2 days.
You got to be some sort of a parent. You're talking about little kids. You're not talking about 18-year-olds. Little kids walk. I seen them come in. I was a manager at a video store recently. All right, and I seen little kids go from 5 and 6 with their parents bringing them in, picking up only cartoons. Their parents wouldn't even let them go anywhere else. Then all of a sudden, they're 12 and 13, they can cross the street by themselves, and the first thing they hit is the horror section. And I wouldn't give them anything.
Well, don't they have to have a card? But you can't have a card, and the parents give them that card. If they're under 17, they should be able to make their own decisions.
You can't stop them from coming in and getting it for them and saying, "Here, go home and have a nice day."
And you can't stop them from having sex either. But if it wasn't for sex, we all wouldn't be here. You can't watch your kid all the time.
That's true. But if it wasn't for bad sex,
you can only communicate with them. If you encourage them and take an interest with them, they'll talk to you
we wouldn't be
about
worried about going to bed with somebody that's going to take your life. Think about that.
If you're against these kind of films, it's just an excuse for being a bad parent, you know? If you can't
He
figure out how to
didn't say he was against it. He's against his 9 and 10-year-old watching.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You want the 9 and 10? You're the one who's sick.
That's why.
You're the one who's sick.
That's why I made it a musical. You go watch it with your kids. You watch it together.
You really think that's a music? A guy sounds like he's...
Wait a minute, the problem is, not only with the video stores, but again, Mr. Sullivan before says you have to be 17 to get into the movies. When I was 12 years old, I looked 18. I could get into the movies by myself. I'm carrying all my friends with me.
You're going to do what you want no matter what anybody tells you. You can do what you want.
My mother didn't know where I was. She didn't know what I was doing. And she was a good parent, but she couldn't be there at all times.
Like, you went and saw these movies when you were 12. You look like you grew up fine. You don't look
I did grow up fine, but that's besides the point. There's exceptions that aren't going to grow up.
Watch out for this guy. He doesn't want any ratings at all by anyone. Watch out. Your kids see it around this guy. Don't let Uncle Barney here give him a bag.
And I can date your daughter.
Wait a minute. Hey, Barney, kick ass, baby.
Tomorrow at 7, come home to Channel 9 for the best in New York Mets baseball action. Live from Veterans Stadium, the Mets battle the Philadelphia Phillies. Make it Mets tomorrow at 7. At 12:30, it's the Heavy Metal Countdown. Interviews, behind the scenes, and the latest music from your favorite groups, all here on Channel 9.